Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. So if you hear my voice, it's a little stuffy. I actually got sick this week, which I'm kind of disappointed because I never really get sick. This is definitely one of the worst times I've ever had with being sick. I really didn't want to record a video, but that's not what I'm about. Not now, not ever. So a little birdie told me that the YouTube algorithm likes it when you smash the like button, comment down below, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I need to know that YouTube likes this content and it will continue to push this content to other people that are just like you and I. This simple trick has helped me save so much money because I used to live paycheck to paycheck. I used to be part of the 7 out of 10 Americans that don't have $1,000 to their name. And I remember I couldn't wait to get my next paycheck because as soon as I got that paycheck, it was pretty much gone. The small amount of bills that I had pretty much ate all the paycheck and also my bad vices of going out and partying and having fun. So before the age of 20, I pretty much had no money in my savings accounts. I started working at the age of 14. I would ditch school all the time just because I wanted to work. I wanted to make money. I just never wanted to bother my parents and ask them for money. I didn't want to feel like a little kid, asking for 20 bucks, especially because I knew 20 bucks wasn't going to take me far. I knew that 20 bucks wasn't anything. But luckily my parents didn't just give me what I requested, and I decided to start working. As soon as I started working, I'm like, oh, I think I like this. I like having money. I like not having to ask my parents for money, and I like to have money to buy dumb stuff at the time. So when I turned 20 years old, I decided to turn my life around because going back to what I always talk about, I got into reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. When I read that book, it pretty much changed my life because I'm like, oh wow, even the average person can do it. Even the average person can make something out of nothing. You just need consistency with it. So when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, he mentioned something about paying yourself first. And at first I was like, I don't get it. And then it started to make sense. You get paid, and the first thing you do when you get paid, you pay the IRS. The IRS does not trust you, so they make sure your taxes are pulled before you even get your paycheck. Because if you were to get your paycheck and then pay the taxes later on during the year, this country would be in a really bad financial situation, even though we already are. And the reason that would happen is because nobody would pay their taxes, because nobody would save up to pay their taxes. But why save up to pay your taxes when they know that's not going to work? They know that Americans don't save money. They take it out of your paycheck. It's the first thing you do. It's the first thing you pay. And funny story is, you find a way to always pay the IRS. If you can manage to pay the IRS, then you can manage to pay yourself. So at the age of 20, I was making $45,000 a year. That was my gross income for the year. I lived paycheck to paycheck. I really had no bills besides like car insurance and like gas. I think I was taking home around $1,100 every 2 weeks. I was bringing in about $2,200 a month. One thing that was eating up my expenses at the time, I had a $400 car payment. I was spending $400 a month on gas, $400 on the car, and then I was also spending $250 or so on car insurance. Before you freak out and wonder why I was paying so much on car insurance.
At the age of 18, I did something really, really dumb. I was caught, intoxicated in the backseat of a car while my buddy at the time was driving, and he pretty much got pulled over. I don't know how he didn't get a DUI, but he got pulled over, and they pretty much breathalyzed us all, and I lost my license for a year. And since that went on my record, every insurance company was pretty much going to charge me a lot of money to insure me.
Anyway, so I was spending about $1,050. Sometimes it would be more, depending on the gas price, depending on how much I was driving. But I was putting a lot of wear and tear on my vehicle, so there was a lot of maintenance. I was doing an oil change like every month to month and a half. So I was spending a lot of money just on traveling to work. So point is, a lot of my money was going towards like car related expenses that made no sense. Either way, I found a way to start saving $1,000 a month. Roughly half of my income was going towards just vehicle expenses, travel expenses, transportation, whatever you want to call it. At that time, that's when I, encountered Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that's when I'm like, enough. I'm tired of living paycheck to paycheck. I'm tired of working hard, and at the end of the week, at the end of the month, at the end of the year, have nothing to show for it. I started looking at money, and I started looking at my time, and I kind of put it together. When you make money, when you get your paycheck, that paycheck is representing dollar signs and numbers, but in essence those numbers equals your time. Half of my paycheck goes to just maintaining the vehicle, just getting to work. So in essence, I wasn't making $20 an hour, I was making $10 an hour, because half of my money was going towards my car payment, my insurance, the gas, and all that. So I was just tired of living paycheck to paycheck and just cold turkey. I had an epiphany, and I'm like, I'm done living the American dream. I'm done living the rat race. I remember I'm just like, I'm just gonna aim to save $1,000 a month. Even though half of my income was going to my car, I'm like, I have to find a way to save $1,000 a month. If I can find a way to pay the IRS all this money, then I can find a way to pay myself $1,000 a month. I deserve $1,000 every single month, I told myself. Some weeks I had overtime, some weeks I didn't. I knew that just my job wasn't gonna cut it. I knew that if I was stuck in a shitty situation, well, I had to do something to get myself out of it. Again, this leads me back to the concept of paying yourself first. According to MarketWatch, half of Americans can't cover a $400 expense. So for example, I don't own a lot of stuff. I don't own a fancy car. I don't own a fancy house, things, nice stuff. Because I realized that the more you own, the higher your risk of something going wrong. Point is, a $400 expense that comes out of nowhere, to say that half of Americans can't afford it without getting into debt or selling a couple of things or whatever, that's scary. I constantly get a $400 expense or more come out of nowhere. When I went to Cali to visit Graham Stephan, I rented out a car. Somebody hit my car, they opened their door, they nicked the paint. It was literally a dent, like the smallest dent ever. I paid $1,000 because somebody hit my car door with their door. Luckily I'm in a situation where I can afford to pay that, and it won't damage my financial life. It won't stress me out as much as if I didn't have it. Believe me, it hurt my soul knowing that I had to pay that.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of cried inside a little bit, but anyway.
What has helped me to save money is the concept of paying yourself first. So when I started saving money, I pretty much told myself I have to save my $1,000 every single month. I don't care how I do it. If I have to take on other jobs, I have to work overtime, I have to hit it. So as soon as I got paid, I was getting paid bi-weekly at the time. So as soon as I got paid, $1,100, so out of those $1,100 or so, sometimes it was more because I did work overtime, I would make sure right away $500 were deducted and put into my savings account. I did not keep my money tied up in my checkings account and keep it there as my savings. I made sure I had two separate bank accounts. One was my checking. That's where all my bills came out. That's where my spending money went. And then I had my savings account. In my savings account was my $500 every 2 weeks. That's where that money was going. Although those accounts were both with my Chase Bank, I still knew that I had to have two different accounts. Well, I knew I wasn't going to save money because I would fall into the trap of spending, consuming, seeing what I have left over, and then seeing if I can save. If the IRS can collect, 30 to 40% of my paycheck, then why can't I collect at least the same, if not more? As soon as I decided to start saving money, I went to my bank, opened up a savings account, and I started making my deposits automatic. Well, I can pay the IRS, I could pay myself, and then I could find a way to live my life. The IRS always gets their fair share when they get paid first. I always get my fair share when I get paid first. So what I started to realize is, if I just pretend that what I'm saving every single month, that's just an extra tax. Let's say the government decides that they're going to tax me at a way higher tax bracket. Yeah, I might complain. Point is, I'm still going to pay it because it's still going to be the first thing that comes out of my paycheck, and it's going to be automatic. That's the thing. Taxes are automatic. Please smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. When you make your savings automatic, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. You will get it done, and then I promise you will find a way to pay the bills after. I'm not saying it's easy because I knew some months, especially when I had no overtime at work, and then, that $400 expense popped up out of nowhere. That was pretty much a whole paycheck for, an entire week I'm like, well, what do I have to do? I knew I had to go do side hustles. I knew I had to go do side jobs, making 11, 12, 13 bucks an hour. And not because I was desperate, but because I was willing to put in the work. I was willing to be humble and not, deny a job because, hey, I'm worth way more than that. Thankfully now I'm at the point where I can and I don't have to do that, and I know what my self-worth is. But at the time, everybody starts somewhere, and at the time, that's what I could do, that's what I can get, and it was recurring. And I knew I could always get jobs at 11 to 13 bucks an hour, especially when my skills weren't there yet. I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't the best painter. I wasn't the best landscaper, and I'm still not, obviously. But I was building skills and I was getting better at what I was doing. And as you get better, that's when you could start charging more, when you know what you're doing. But at the time, I was just faking it till I made it, in essence. You need to start looking at money in a different way. Money does not represent just numbers in a bank account. It doesn't represent consumerism. It doesn't represent things or Starbucks or just dumb stuff you buy on a regular basis. Money, in essence, is your time. The moment I realized I had to treat my money like a business is when I was able to save the money. I automated my savings, and somehow every single month I managed to pay my bill. I don't care if my car note was, a day late or 2 days late and I was waiting on that paycheck. I knew I had the money in my savings account. I said, no, I'm not going to take that money out of my savings account, because as soon as I do that, I'm going to break this good habit that I'm starting to form. Next thing you know, I went a whole year and I saved $12,000 in a year, and I was like the happiest man in the world, because I'm like, wow, I never thought I would have $12,000 in my bank account. I'm not going to lie, I kind of felt like I was rich for the slightest second. But now I can look back at that and kind of laugh, because I've had months where I saved that in a whole month, and it's just crazy. But I continue living with the same purpose. I continue living with the same mindset that I save as much as I can. And in the beginning, it's not going to be easy to save, because you're used to what's normal. Normal is people don't save. Normal is people just spend money on dumb stuff, on consumerism, because that's easy. An emergency fund is pretty much 6 months of expenses aside in case something bad goes wrong, you lose your job, you get hurt, you just need that cash. So start off with your emergency fund, then from there start building your investments, whether you want to invest in the stock market or if you want to just keep saving so you can eventually buy real estate. What I personally use is Robinhood. To me, Robinhood is so easy to use, and it's actually really cool because they make it so user friendly and it's on your phone. Everybody's always on their phone, so I think it's best when I could just invest on my phone. If I could just click into the Robinhood app and it takes 5 seconds to buy my next stock. I personally love Robinhood, and that's what I use. If you guys want to start investing in the stock market and use Robinhood as well, I'll put the link in the description. And if you use the link down in the description, that will get both you and I a free stock up to, I believe, $100, if not more. I haven't really looked at the referral program, but anyway, I would do it. It's a free stock for you. It's a free stock for me. And then eventually, if you refer someone else, that's a free stock for you, free stock for them. It's not a scam. I really don't care if you sign up or not. This is just me giving you tips on what I do. Go check it out. I think you'll like Robinhood. It's definitely beginner friendly. I guess once you get more advanced, then you can move on to the next platforms. But it's all the same thing. There's pretty much no difference unless you're looking to trade. I'm looking more at long-term hold, and ultimately Robinhood does the job. So moral of the story is saving money is a simple thing to do, but we just make it hard on ourselves because we like buying dumb stuff, we like consuming, and we just love being influenced by society, because society ultimately decides where we should spend our money, how we should spend our money. And, we fall into the peer pressure of, hey, let's go spend money on dumb crap we don't need to impress the people we don't even know or care about, but it looks cool in the moment. I want to challenge you guys to start saving money, turn your life around, make this 2020 your year. Stop worrying too much about what people think about you. Stop trying to impress other people, and who cares what they think about you, because ultimately you live your life on your terms. I hope you guys learned something today. Take care. Until next time.